we know that for all the herbs out there, for about every 4,000 herbs, there's one that's an adaptogen, that they're pretty rare. They're pretty rare. So can you just give us a little background first on what adaptogens are? But by the way, for everyone that's here, what you're going to learn is what you need to do to protect yourself from this current threat that's out there. This current threat of catching a viral bug. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. But before we do, I want the background so that people understand what is an adaptogen.
Okay, so let's talk about that. This term is becoming a little more accepted and recognized in Western, places like America and in other places now. But we have to go back to the beginning. And this research into herbs that could elicit a very important factor started before the Second World War in Russia. Okay, not exactly our trading partners most of the time. So we weren't really aware of what was going on over there. But the Russians, the winds of war were sweeping across Europe. My mom was Hungarian. Her family was in Budapest, Hungary, and they were very aware that things were not going well with Germany and Russia. So the Russians were kind of gearing up and mentally preparing themselves for what seemed to be inevitable. The world at war was just moving forwards as quickly. And so Nikolai Lazarov was commissioned by the Russian government to find some substances, some plant substances endemic to Russia that could help the Russian people in times of extreme stress and deprivation, which is what war really is. It's incredible deprivation and death. But they wanted to be able to help their workers, their factory workers, their soldiers, and things like that. So this was a government program to search the plant world in the northern world. Now, remind you, ginseng is an adaptogen, which everybody's heard of ginseng, I'm sure. Ginseng is an adaptogen. It's a tonic herb, but beyond being a tonic herb, it's an adaptogen. So when Nikolai Lazarov and his associate Israel Breckman, when they started searching with payroll from the Russian government, they came across some amazing plants in Russia that could do what ginseng did and even do it better in some cases. So what they did was they had to define the definition of what are we looking for? What does ginseng really do? And what are we looking for? So they defined what ginseng did because they understood that was controlled by Korea and in some places China, not exactly friendly buddies with them. So they couldn't count on getting ginseng. So what they did was they looked in their own country, but what the ginseng did as an adaptogen, and what all adaptogens do, is I'll give you the three kind of a triumvirate definition. Adaptogens work at the cellular level. In other words, they actually work on the cells themselves. So if you could take cells of any type of cells, any organ cells, lung cells, tissue cells, skin cells, you could put them in a situation where they're in a solution and take hydrogen peroxide, which is a strong oxidizer, and you would drip hydrogen peroxide into the solution with these living cells in a solution, and you drop in the hydrogen peroxide. So you're raising the oxidative stress, and you count the drops, 1, 2, 3. Keep counting the drops of hydrogen peroxide until the cells die. So let's say it took 30 drops of hydrogen peroxide in a small container to kill the cells in there. So you notate that. Now you take those same type of cells, you put them in the same solution, only this time you add a solution, a water extraction of your plant, in this case, ginseng. So now the cells have their living matrix, the solution with ginseng. Now you start dripping in the hydrogen peroxide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you hit 30, 35, 40, the cells are still alive. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. They're like, oh my God, what's going on here? They get to 100, they get to 150, they get to 200 drops. 200 drops before the cells start to die.
Wow.
So these are the cells. And in one case, they died at 30 drops. Oxidation, oxidative stress. With just the addition of ginseng, the cells can stand incredible amounts of oxidative stress. So this shows up, this was a scientific experiment. They said, okay, so this stuff works at the cellular level and it helps the cells resist stress, in this case, oxidative stress. So they also tried other types of stressors, and they found out that it was consistent, that adaptogens work at the cellular level. They're non-toxic to the cells. They don't kill the cells even at very high concentrations. So they're not toxic, and it helps the cells adjust to stresses. And what's even more important, when you put the ginseng into an organism like a human or an animal, they would take a mouse and they would put it in water and they just make it swim until it died, until it drowned it. And they would time it. This mouse can swim for like 45 minutes in just a container until it drowns. So now they give it ginseng and they put it in there, and this mouse is swimming around for an hour and a half. They're like, holy mackerel. And they actually felt sorry for the little dude. So they took him out of the water. They go, okay, look, an hour and a half, we've solved the problem. So we have one living mouse lab rat that was able to swim for an enormous amount of time. So as an organism, it helps us expand what we can do. Once again, with somebody like your mother, it was very apparent. End stage, she comes back for 6 weeks of life. My God, that's a miracle. It really is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Now, for everyone out there, this is what it's like when Dan Moriarty starts talking, is that there's a story, but it's an accurate story. And by the end of it, you've got an understanding of the benefit or the point that he's making. So I'm saying this because so many people, they want to know right now, come on, I don't have time for all this, but in our Facebook group, people know, just sit tight, hang in there. There's a reason for this. And so you're hearing the background as to where the development of adaptogens came from. And that's just fabulous to understand, because that's what it does in your body.